Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Generation Z podcast. This is episode 20, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about how to lose weight and how to keep it off. I think there's a general consensus that fat loss is quite a complex process. However, once you kind of realize the fundamental basics of dieting and how cardio isn't so necessary, I think you realize that it's a lot easier. And today, hopefully, we're going to be able to educate you on how easy fat loss really is.
Yeah, so fat loss, as you said, it's really simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy by any means. So we're basically going to go through why it's so simple, but also just make it as easy as possible for you, basically, through a series of tips, and then also give you some tips to, once you've got the fat off, then keep it off, because it's one thing to actually complete a dieting phase, but it's a completely different thing to actually keep it off. You see so many people go for a fat loss phase, get to the end of the phase, no post-diet plan, and then it's just eat what you want, rapidly gain back weight. So, yeah.
So yeah, before we get stuck into this discussion, do follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram page is The Generation Z. We also have a Facebook page, which is called The Generation Z Podcast. And also we are on Twitter at The Generation Z Podcast. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty fucking easy. So yeah, let's fucking jump straight into this.
Let's go.
So how do we lose fat? The main and the most important thing for you to consider when losing fat is that you must be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
That is essential.
I mean,
if you're not in a calorie deficit, then you're not going to be literally losing any weight, because what a calorie deficit means is that you are consuming less calories than you are burning every day.
Yeah. I was just going to say before, like, you've probably heard us say quite a few times the word calorie deficit in this podcast. And it's because it is the only way to lose weight. Like, so even if you do think, oh, they keep banging on about calorie deficit, there's a reason behind it. Like, it is the only way to lose weight. So don't get caught up in, oh, I can't, like, carbs make me fat, fats make me fat, all that shit. No, calories are making you fat. So you can find your maintenance calories on like an online calculator. If you already track your food, you'll probably know what your maintenance calories are, and you simply just take away, like, I don't know, probably start with 200 calorie deficit, something like that. You don't want to be cutting calories straight away. Just be like, right, I'm gonna get rid of 800 calories and be shredded in a week. It's not
that's one of the big mistakes a lot of people make, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's obviously it's that, but it's also that they're not actually accurately calculating their calorie intake kind of from the start. I think being able to calculate your calories, it's quite a task. It sounds like from the outside that you're constantly just looking at the back of every product to see the macronutrients, how much calories, and weighing it out every day. And that can sound quite tedious and quite, I don't know, just time consuming. But it's the most important part of fat loss, because essentially what it means that you're doing is that you're able to ensure that you are consuming less calories than you're burning. So, and as long as you're doing that, you will start to lose fat.
Yeah, and I mean, tracking calories, it's a bit of a pain in the ass at first, but once you've actually put the foods that you usually eat into your like calorie tracker, so let's just say MyFitnessPal, once you put all your foods into that, after like a month or so, you'll probably realize you pretty much eat most of the same stuff. So instead of having to scan the back of the packet, you can literally just search like, I don't know, chicken breast.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
And it just comes up.
It comes automatic to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do it without even thinking now. Whenever it gets to the evening, straight away just do my food for the next day. Like, I don't even think of it is a task.
Yeah, so what do? Do you put your calories or what you're going to eat the day before?
Yeah.
So essentially you just put in the measurements before you go to bed, essentially, and then you get up and then you just look at your MyFitnessPal. I assume, yeah, you use that, don't you? So you just look at MyFitnessPal and then you just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the easiest thing to do. When I finish my food for the day, usually like 9:30, just sit down, get my fitness power up, go through. I mean, pretty much always have the same pre and post workout meal, so that's 2 meals done. Then I have like lunch, dinner is going to be high protein, so a meat, and then with a side of carbs and a side of veggies. So I know roughly what that's going to be. And then a like snack in the evening. So I wake up and I've got my food for the day sorted. I literally just scroll through to the gram. I know what I'm going to eat. So I recommend doing that rather than tracking on the day. Sometimes you might get to the evening and think, oh, I'm 100 grams off my protein goal. Nobody wants to eat chicken and broccoli at 11 p.m.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think one of the main problems that people have in their fat loss journey is staying in that calorie deficit. There's a lot of times, personally, during my fat loss journey, where I've looked at something in the cupboard and I've just gone, "Oh, I wouldn't, would I? I wouldn't, would I?"
You would.
And yeah, 99% of the time, I would.
Yeah.
I'd fucking do it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely guilty of it as well. So I think staying in a calorie deficit is going to be one of your biggest problems. But you need to, when you're starting this fat loss journey, it would be beneficial for you to start your calorie deficit as high as possible, or kind of closest to your current maintenance calories as possible, because then that's going to allow you to like taper down your calories every week or so. And doing this like incrementally and on a weekly basis, it's gonna put you kind of under less stress in terms of wanting to eat or binge, because as you said, people sometimes go like 800 calories down like straight away, and they just go into they just literally send their body into starvation mode.
Used to be me, mate. Used to be me. I remember first cut at like, I don't know, 17, I think it might have been. I literally went from eating like 3,400 calories. And I was just like, well, I want to diet. I want to get as lean as quick as possible. And I literally stopped my count like 2,400 calories. Quickly adapted to that, and I was on 2,000 calories like a month and a half in. And I thought, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's lower. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
just crave all kinds of food. But yeah, there's more than one approach as well. You were saying you like to take like 50 calories a week away or something like that. Or as I preferred to do, like, I don't know, stay at the same, and then a month in I might drop an extra 100, 200, depending on how things are going. So it's just up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, my example was only kind of a baseline. Like you can do that if you want, but it's completely up to you. Usually what people do is they go into a calorie deficit, and then when they're kind of plateauing and they're not really going, they're staying at that same weight, and they still want to decrease the amount of fat on their body, or they're kind of early into their fat loss phase. Then once you've plateaued, maybe drop it 50 calories, and then continue on that new calorie intake until you're plateauing again. And it's just going to literally go down in incremental steps, and then you're going to get to your desired weight. But I think the 50 calorie thing, that's very long term, and fat loss
I've never done that
term.
before, to be fair. I never thought of it like that, but yeah.
Fat loss is a very long-term thing, though, isn't it? You've got to be thinking about it in terms of 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. As you said, like when you went down to 600 calories, like you thought that going into that big of a calorie deficit, you were just going to get shredded like really quickly. But you find out that it just doesn't work like that. The
No.
body doesn't function like that, unfortunately.
No, you're going to adapt very quickly to it, and then you're just stuck at that point, basically. But key thing to losing weight and also just maintaining your new weight would be low calorie dense foods. So, I mean, an easy one for that would be fruit and vegetables, just because the amount of calories that's in them and the amount of space they take up in your stomach, there's a lot of, like, it's worthwhile, basically.
I've realised that recently.
Yeah,
I really
it's
have.
really good. Also, you can just find low calorie alternatives. So one thing that I've actually been using the last couple of months is like Weight Watcher wraps. And they're actually class, to be fair.
Okay.
So I mean, a wrap is usually like 180 calories or something.
Yeah.
These wraps are only like 100, but they're pretty much the same size. And even that, like, you might think it's only 80 calories, but it's just, it fills you up. It's a full meal on less calories. So you can always find low calorie alternatives.
There's probably the same amount of carbs in the Weight Watchers wrap than in a normal wrap, is there?
I don't know. I don't really look at the macros of it.
Probably why it's filling you up, because it's got probably the same amount of carbs.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, it probably fills me up just because I have a lot of chicken in it, to be fair. Which actually brings us on to the next point, which is like the thermic effect of food. So, well, first of all, a high protein diet it's going to fill you up more just because it's a more satiating food. So out of all the macro,
big word there.
Well, no,
that's
getting
a
all
rather
smart
big word.
Satiating. But yeah, you made me feel very self-conscious about that word. It's a very
brilliant word. That is actually a class. I didn't even know that was a word, to be fair.
It is a word. So I'll say it again.
Mean?
It basically means like it keeps you full. Like, so say you eat a meal and you're nice and full after, you're satiated, kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
Protein is a very satiating food, and it keeps you the fullest out of all the macronutrients. So the least satiating would be. I'm gonna start laughing now when I say it. The least satiating would be fats, because think about it. If you have, like, I don't know, say cheese. 100 calories of cheese is absolutely nothing. You can just eat that and it basically just melts in your mouth. Like, it's not filling you up at all. So protein is going to keep you fullest the longest, but also we have the thermic effect of food. So that's basically just how much energy is required to break that food down. So protein takes more energy to digest, meaning more calories burned to consume it, basically. Okay. And one of the things I was trying to find out before this podcast was trying to get like some research into how many calories like protein digestion does burn. Now, I could only really find 2 like papers that gave an answer to it, but they did give the same answer. So the person that wrote it is called Helen Callias, PhD, just in case anybody does want to do their own research on it. But basically from that, she said 20 to 30% of calories from protein are used to digest it. So if you eat 100 calories worth of protein, 20 to 30 of those calories will be burned just through digesting it, which is pretty cool, to be fair. Yeah. Whereas compared to fat, if you eat 100 calories of fat, I think it's like 3 calories are burned. So it's quite a difference, to be fair.
And also fat has a lot more calories kind of per gram. I think we talked about this in another podcast, like the actual macronutrients of each food. And for every gram of fat that you consume, that's 9 calories compared to proteins and carbs, which have 4 calories per gram that you consume. So when you're on your fat loss journey, I think we'd highly recommend staying away from fatty foods. So that's going to be like your takeaways, and obviously like it's going to be quite difficult, but that's the sacrifice you're going to have to make, unfortunately.
You just need to find a balance. So obviously you need, I'm not saying cut out fats completely, because like you need fats for just hormone regulation and shit like that. But obviously if you have something like a pizza could be, I don't know, you can get some pizzas in the shops that are like easy over 1,000 calories, and I could easily eat like 2 pizzas. I'm a bit of a big boy, though. I'm a big chunky.
Big chungus.
Big chungus over it. But we were saying the other day, like, if it wasn't for the gym, I'd be such a fat shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember. So I can't remember what I was talking about now. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking about how fatty foods don't fill you up. Yeah, and the balance. But yeah, like if you want to stick a cookie in, then just whack it in. Yeah, it's not going to fill you up, but if you remove all the foods that you want, like, you're not going to stick to that diet.
Exactly. It's got to be flexible, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's just chucking a little treat every now and then.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I think what I've found being on my fat loss kind of journey in previous years and what I've learned is flexibility is like the key. Yeah. Because you're not gonna be able to just the temptation to have something quite sugary and something that is calorie dense is very normal. Don't think that that's not, because you're going to have times where your hormones are going to be different in your body during your fat loss journey, and you're going to have one day where you're just going to be like, I want to go to a 7-bone and I want to drown myself in dirty fries.
Dirty fries, mate.
But like, I think if you can just plan accordingly and have meals during your journey that have, as we said, low calorie alternatives like fruit and veg, which are fibrous, are going to fill you up. You have quality meat sources that are also going to fill you up. And we're going to go into some useful tips to help the process of fat in a sec. But I think if you've got all of these sort of kind of foods in your diet, then you're going to be able to have that one meal where you go to a restaurant or you have a takeaway, and that's going to be completely normal, and that will usually fit in your calorie intake, and you'll still be able to be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah. I think one more thing is trigger foods as well. And I think everybody has kind of like certain trigger foods where if you were to just, I'll just have a tiny bit of that, as soon as it touches your mouth,
you're having a whole bag.
Yeah, head's gone. So it's a very individual thing. I know you were saying there, once you finish a meal, you kind of crave sugar. I'm like that. Once I finish a meal, I'm like, I really do some sugar. But for me, I can literally go into the cupboard and pick out like one Haribo, just eat that, and then I'm like, right, that's it. I'm good now. Or some people might do that, eat one Haribo and think, give me the rest of the bag.
Yeah,
it does happen.
When you're losing fat, as you just said there, I think you gain a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah, massively.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we've both learned from going into a fat loss phase, is it's just mind over body. If you tell yourself that you're only going to have one Haribo, like you said, and you're not going to be tempted to have the whole bag, then you can do that. So, yeah.
It's true. So we'll move on to just some extra little tips to help you with your fat loss journey. So first thing would just be hydration. Now, I know you go on some things and it's just like you need to drink like 4 gallons a day of water. Like, you don't just
drown in yourself.
Yeah, like just stay hydrated, because sometimes you do kind of mixed dehydration with hunger. Now, I'm not telling you to skip a meal and just drink water, but if you stay hydrated and keep your stomach full of water, you'll probably be a little less hungry.
That is actually a big kind of problem at the moment, or personally I feel a lot of people, when they are hungry, they mistake hunger for just being dehydrated. And when you're in your fat loss phase and you're obviously having a calorie deficit every day, water is going to be your best friend, because that's going to be because essentially the deficit that you're in, you're going to have to substitute that calorie intake that you would be having for water. I think that's one of the most important things that I've kind of learned.
What do you mean in terms of like keeping you full?
Yeah, just so say for example, right now I'm not obviously in a calorie deficit at the moment, but there are some times when I think that I'm hungry, but then I just have a glass of water and then I'm full for like the next hour, hour and a half. And
Okay,
it's
yeah.
because I was just dehydrated and I'm mistaken being hungry for actually not taking enough water during the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I know what you
3
mean.
gallons, or not 3 gallons, 3 liters actually is kind of the average that you should be drinking. And I'm just going to throw that out there. I think about 90% of people don't have 3 gallon or 3 liters of water a day. I'm saying that
Yeah,
because I think it's quite true.
probably true.
People take water for granted, and a lot of people are dehydrated, and they do mistake that for just being hungry.
Yeah, true. So next thing would be refeed days. So cheat days aren't a thing. If you see them on YouTube, it's just somebody with a binge eating disorder just having an excuse to binge just so they can
Yeah.
get a couple views on YouTube. Like cheat day is not a thing. I don't know where that idea's come from.
Clickbait.
But yeah, but actually, you know all these like 10,000 calorie challenge, 25,000 calorie challenge, all that. There's only two types of people that do them, and that's either competitive eaters or all fitness YouTubers. And the reason why is because they're all fucking starving and they're just binging. Like that is literally it, though.
Or because they know that that's going to get quite a lot of views on their channel and that's going to go viral. Because I don't know what it is. People just love the 10,000, 25,000 calorie challenges. They just
Yeah,
love watching
it's
people
weird, isn't
like
it?
what they eat in a
Yeah,
day.
so strange. But to
Yeah.
be fair, once you do go into when you're in a deep end of a diet, I've been there where you kind of watch other people eat food on YouTube, just kind of like satisfy your need in a, like some sick kind of way. But yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
you feel full
yeah,
after they've had 10,000 calories.
it's so weird. But yeah, I digress. So refeed days.
Mm,
So probably,
yeah.
well, yeah, usually on a rest day, just because you're restoring your glycogen levels, so you don't really want to use up your muscles again and deplete yourself of glycogen. But basically, yeah, refeed day, just go to maintenance. You can go in a slight surplus if you want. But yeah, I usually just go maintenance, increase your carbs. Protein is going to be pretty much the same, but the actual sources of protein might change. So carbs are protein sparing, so you might drop your protein intake from a protein source like chicken, and that protein is going to be made up through carbs, and you're going to reduce
Yeah.
your fat intake as well.
Mm.
Easy.
Yeah. So if you were to use these tips, such as stay hydrated, refeed days instead of cheat days, that's really important. I think, as you said, cheat days can often sometimes throw people off course with their
Yeah.
fat loss, and they eat whatever's in sight and they go so far over their calories that when they step on the weight or step on the scale the next day, they see their weight has shot up,
Yeah.
and then they get really discouraged by that, and they see, oh my god, I've just put on all the weight that I've lost during the week back on in one day. What's
Yeah.
the point in doing this? I'm not gonna continue. And then that is kind of a breaking point for some people.
Yeah.
But I think if you rephrase a cheating day to a refeed day, I think that's going to be really beneficial for you. I
Yeah.
think having a diet break is good. Just
Yeah.
maybe a weekend where, or a
Even a
weekend
week.
this, yeah,
I've
a
done it for a week
week.
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't really done a diet break. Would you be able to kind of go more into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to refeed days, but literally for a week. So I just went maintenance calories for a
Okay.
week, basically.
Mm.
Maybe chuck in a cheat meal on one of those days. But yeah, like cheat meals, fine. Stick them in every now and then. Cheat day, no, not a
No.
thing. Doesn't
Not.
exist. It's just binge eating. Like, don't ever think, oh, today's cheat day, because you can easily
Mm.
outdo a week's worth of dieting in a day. no problem, especially when you're in the latter stages. So yeah, stay away from them. And if you do binge, like even though it's going to be ridiculously hard, try and track it at least, just so you know what the damage is. Because then at least if you're thinking, fuck, once I eat this 5th cookie of the day, I'm on 6,000 calories, like you might think, might be time to stop.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think if you're incorporating all these steps, the weight should be gradually falling, and that should be the aim. You shouldn't, before going into a fat loss phase, you shouldn't be looking at the scales and expecting a significant pound or kg drop by the day or by the week. This is such a gradual process, and sudden or just gradual fat loss is normal, and sometimes it will fluctuate. You'll maybe go down a couple of days, and then maybe one day you'll go back up a little bit, maybe go up a pound, and then go down a couple of pounds, go up 2 pounds. But if it's a general downward slope, then that's something to be encouraged by. And I think if you're on that track, then continue what you're doing, essentially.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And the last thing we're going to touch on is just cardio. So you don't need to be doing excessive amounts of cardio. And actually, if you're going from no cardio and then in a surplus, and then you go into a deficit and you straight away put in loads of high intensity cardio, you probably realize you're not going to be able to keep it up. So when I start my diet, I don't even do cardio to begin with. I mean, I still have my steps, but I don't actively go, I don't know, Stairmaster for half an hour or anything. So I'd say don't do excessive cardio straight away. Usually just start off a step goal and have an active lifestyle. That's really it.
Yeah.
And then
what step goal? I was just going to ask, what kind of step goal should people be aiming for in regards to early? Are we saying, because during my fat loss phase, I was doing about 10,000 a day. Would you say 10,000 is a good place to start, or would you say 5?
I mean,
1,000.
It depends what you were doing beforehand, though, as well. So if you already live an active lifestyle, some people might already be doing 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah, and some people don't really track their steps anyway, do they?
Yeah, exactly. And for some people that do an office job, they might do 200 steps a day. So even for them, they might start on 5,000 steps. So it's quite individual, but 10,000 seems to be like this magic number that everybody seems to aim towards for some reason. Don't know why, but it's just an easy way to get your cardio in, basically, 10,000 steps.
You do realise after you do 10,000 steps that is actually quite a lot of exercise.
It is.
I think it's about, off the top of my head, it's probably about an hour and a half walk.
Yeah, no, it's long.
So try and make time for it.
Yeah. So second part of the podcast, obviously, you've gone through your dieting phase. You're where you want to be. You've got your abs. Now what?
You're looking shredded.
Yeah.
You're looking toned for the girls that are listening.
Exactly. But now you want to maintain that weight or maintain that body composition, let's say. Your weight might change. So first thing is reverse dieting, and it's going to allow you to eat more and potentially lose more fat because you're still in a slight deficit. So when you finish your diet, you don't really know what your maintenance is anymore, because you've lost weight. Your maintenance isn't going to be your maintenance before you start the diet. It's going to have changed. So reverse dieting is, say you finish your cut on 2,000 calories, add in 50 calories first couple of days, add in 100 calories next week, see how you respond. If you're still losing weight, then you know you're still in a deficit, even though you are eating slightly more food. So you can just work that up until your weight basically stalls for a bit and you just kind of maintain, and you found your maintenance.
I think when you're also increasing your calories to find your new maintenance, you're going to have an increase in energy as well, because calories equates to energy. So even when you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to be able to potentially have more energy in the gym if you were to put these calories in your pre-workout meal, put your extra 100 calories that you've got into a decent carb source, and then you're going to be able to push yourself harder in the gym. Your gym performance is going to increase, potentially lifting heavier weights, and that's going to make your muscles more toned, more like bigger. And you may see that you're still in a calorie deficit, but you maybe have a little bit more kind of size in a way, or just like a resting pump, because you're able to, as I said, kind of push harder in the gym, and your kind of muscles are going to be bigger. You're going to be able to push more weight, do a lot more stuff in that respect. So I think you may even potentially look better or more shredded in the reverse dieting phase than you were at the end of your fat loss phase.
Yeah, it's all an energy balance. So it's calories in, calories out. If you finish your cut on 2,000 calories and you add in 100 calories, so now you're eating 2,100 calories, but now with that extra 100 calories in, you expend an extra 150 because you've got those extra calories, but you've just made an extra 50 calorie deficit, if you get what I mean. So even though you're eating more food, you're burning more energy because that food's leading to more energy. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, you can get leaner with more food, basically. Second thing would be maintenance phases. So this is something I've actually learned from a person called Josh Bridgman. If you're looking for some good quality info, get on Josh Bridgman's YouTube or his podcast. We've got some quality info on there. But basically, maintenance phases are just reinforcing where you are in terms of body composition, and it's going to last for about 3 or 4 weeks. So I did this at the end of my cut that I did during lockdown, basically, and finished my cut, and then I reverse dieted up to maintenance, and then I just stayed at maintenance. I mean, I did it for like 2 months just because I didn't have access to the gym. And all it means is you're basically just getting your body used to being lean. So you're making it understand like this is the new normal.
Okay, that in terms of calorie intake.
Yeah, but also just kind of like hormone regulation, I think, as well. So, you finish a cut and you're like, fuck, I'm hungry. I could eat everything in sight. If you're just eating at maintenance constantly for a long amount of time, it kind of just gets your body used to it. And your sudden like urge just to eat everything can like gradually go a bit. I found that anyway. Okay. And kind of leads me on to the next point, which is like, it potentially allows you to change your body fat set point. So body fat set point is just a theory that your body is at homeostasis around a certain weight or body fat percentage. And I mean, there's no real like conclusive evidence whether this is a thing or not. So it still is a theory, but I just chucked in from personal experience. I would say that I would agree with this, which is why I included it.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah, we've just gone through how to maintain that weight through maintenance phases and what else did we talk about? The reverse dieting. So those are 2 kind of systems that you can use to maintain your new weight after your fat loss journey. And now we're going to go into kind of the need to have enough food to grow and recover from sessions. Because I think a lot of people, when they get into that fat loss phase, they are just, the common conception is carbs is the enemy, isn't it? It's stay away from carbs as far as you can. They are going to make you put on weight or whatever. But as we've told you, the only way that you're not going to be able to lose fat is if you're not in a calorie deficit. And carbs are actually your ally, because carbs are going to give you that energy before your gym workouts to push you through that workout and get the most out of that workout. And also they're going to allow you to recover better from sessions. I think I've realized this, I think from you recently, the carbs after a workout are just as important as before. And now I've started really prioritizing carbs before and after sessions, because that's just gonna help, as I said, just kind of help you push yourself in your workouts. And carbs actually do help in the recovery of sessions. I didn't realize this, but they actually
massively.
do.
Yeah, I don't get this idea of carbs as your enemy comes from. Like, carbs are literally your best friend. They're your body's preferred source of energy. So you need carbs. Stop. I know Greg always says stop being a carbophobe. It's true. Don't be a fucking carbophobe. but yeah, I mean, this still links to maintaining your weight. So when you're looking to maintain your weight or your new body composition, you still want to be providing yourself with enough food to grow and recover from your sessions. Because say you've hit your new weight and you're at a certain leanness, well, now if you supply your body with just enough food to grow, so eating around maintenance, you can continue to pack on muscle, but just basically without all the fat gain. So I'm not even talking about a lean bulk here. I'm literally just saying, like, eat at maintenance. And it's kind of like, I know some people call it main gaining. So it's like, you just eat around maintenance, you put on size because you're just eating enough to fuel your sessions, recover from them, and you're basically just not putting on fat, which is basically what I'm trying to do in a minute, to be fair.
Yeah, and protein is like very key for like main gaining, because usually some people go into like a 200 calorie surplus when they're trying to pack on some size, and they sometimes don't realize that, as you said, you can gain muscle, a lot of muscle, just by eating at maintenance calories. It's mainly due to your work ethic in the gym, your recovery. There's so many factors.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying, like, about having enough food to grow. You want to be, if you're training hard enough where you're progressively overloading each session and you're fueling those sessions just enough, then you can put on muscle. Obviously, there is no doubt a surplus is optimal for muscle growth. Like, that's just factual. If you're in a 200 calorie surplus, you probably will be putting on more size, but with that comes a little bit more fat. So if you're looking to stay literally as lean as possible and you're looking just for put on a little bit of muscle at a time, it will be slower, but in my opinion, it could be worth it. Also, when you're going through a dieting phase, don't expect to look like anybody on Instagram. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you.
There's so many variables.
Yeah.
We talked about this in like I think it was the top 5 gym myths episode. Like, you don't realize what these social media influencers, their life consists of keeping up this image of looking incredibly shredded. And
I mean, it's a whole nother topic. Like, we could speak about this for hours.
Exactly. Yeah. That's something that we're really passionate about, because a lot of people do compare themselves to these people.
Yeah.
And there's just no need. You only need to compare yourself to yourself or the person you were the day before.
So true. But coming back to this idea of having enough food to grow, just fun a few points on that would be your maintenance calories. So that, again, I'm talking about maintaining your new body fat percentage. So your maintenance calories is also going to change as you put on muscle as well. So say you're doing flat dumbbell press with 30 kg for 6 reps, and the next week you do it for 7 reps, then you do it for 8 reps, then you do it for 9 reps. You're expending more energy doing 30 kg for 9 reps than you're worth of 6 reps, So your total daily energy expenditures increase. So then you can increase your food to match that to keep on recovering. So it's not thinking, oh, I'm putting in 50 calories, I'm now in a surplus. Like, no, you're matching your energy demand. So your maintenance does increase. So
as you put on size, as you put on muscle, as you said, you're gonna need to get up into that next bracket of strength in terms of how much you're pushing or how many reps you're doing. You're gonna need more energy to push those new weights and hit those PBs and that sort of stuff. So
don't be afraid to add food when you're
don't be afraid to increase your calories.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to get as strong as possible and progressively overload, then you won't need to add food as quickly as if you're doing a bulking phase or even a lean bulking phase. But there'll still be need to add food over time.
And during your fat loss, I think the one last point I wanted to talk about was you need to continue that work ethic that you were having during your maintenance phase as much as possible, because what's that's going to allow you to do is that's going to allow you to maintain the muscle, as much muscle as possible, while you're going through your fat loss phase. I think a lot of people kind of go into a fat loss phase and they still do weight training, but their intensity and their work ethic at the gym kind of slacks, and they go more for reps rather than volume. And
it's backwards, mate.
So it's I think what you need to do is place more of an emphasis on strength training. So I hear a lot of people when they go into a kind of a fat loss phase is they do compound movements. So they do strength training in their deadlifts, their squats, their bench, their kind of shoulder press. And what this is going to allow you to do is this is going to allow you to maintain that muscle that you have and potentially increase it if you are maintaining and keeping a good kind of protein count and you're hitting your protein goal every day.
You know what? I know you were saying there about strength training. For me personally, I wouldn't even feel the need to change my program at all. I'd literally just keep the same intensity as you were before. There is definitely this idea as I'm in a deficit now, so I'm going to lose muscle, I'm going to get weaker. If you go into it with that mindset, then you are going to think, oh, I'm weaker now, I'm not going to lift as much. When you're in a deficit, you need to be training as intensely as possible and lifting the heaviest amount of weight possible for the most amount of reps, just as you were before in your training. Because ultimately, if you take away that stimulus that was keeping that muscle there in the first place, and you take that away, guess what? Then you are going to lose muscle. If you keep that stimulus, you're going to keep as much muscle as possible, and that's the aim during the fat loss phase.
So as Marcus said, maybe just keep your strength training plan.
Your training doesn't need to change at all.
But maybe incorporate compound movements into your training. So that you're just working more muscles at a given time. Because
then the other end of that would also be, if you're deep into a calorie deficit, you might stay away from compound movements, just in the sense that you're more prone to injury during it. So, and when you've got less calories, you might get injured more. So that's also something to keep in mind, I'd say.
Yes, and if you're doing that, then place a good emphasis on your recovery. Place a good 100%. Emphasis on sleeping, getting enough carbs in after your workout, hitting your protein goal, even stretching and mobility on your rest days. I think that's a thing a lot of people neglect. Is just general health and
health.
You know what I mean? It's
I know what you mean.
Like some people go into a leg day and they haven't really stretched properly, and then they get shocked when their hamstring hurts afterwards or after a couple of days.
That's what you do. Dynamic. Obviously,
stretching.
don't fucking stretch your calves and hamstrings out like football stretches, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just going to be weak as fuck during your session. But yeah, dynamic stretches. But I think we're going off on a tangent on a bit here anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it up with a conclusion. So don't try and rush a fat loss stage. Don't rapidly cut your calories and think you're going to get shredded in a month. It's not going to happen. Slowly taper it down. Low calorie dense meals, key to helping you stay in a deficit and maintain your new weight. Reverse diet, maintenance phases to just solidify your new body composition. And if you're not a bodybuilder or a competitive bodybuilder, chill out. I know I'm saying this basically for myself. I don't compete and I still get caught up in everything's got to be exact. Like, relax. You can have an off meal every now and then. Like, it's fine. But yeah.
I think it's about, also, just to finish this off, got to enjoy the process.
100%.
You've got to enjoy it. There's going to be no longevity in your fat loss journey if you're not enjoying the food that you're eating, your workouts, your recovery. If you're not enjoying it and you're in a negative headspace and it's kind of consuming your life, where you're constantly measuring everything out to the gram and all this kind of nonsense, I guess. I think you've just got to think about it in the long term. Have the goal. Say in 2 months I want to lose 10 pounds. That's a pretty decent place to start. And if you exceed that by any expectations, then fucking well on. Like,
brilliant.
Good going. And then if you're like, right, I can do a bit more here. I'm satisfied, but I'm hungry for more. I'm hungry to improve. Then continue the fat loss journey and just kind of see where it takes you.
Yeah, ultimately, the whole idea of nutrition and training is to add to your life, not take away from it. Obviously, a dieting phase is not going to be the funnest thing in the world, but what we've gone through today is basically just to make it as easy as possible. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and I hope you found some value in it. If you did find value in it, please let us know so we can get a little ego boost, but not just that, but we know to make more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you did enjoy it, then maybe share it with somebody who you think would benefit from it. But I'm off the train legs in 45 minutes, so I want to wrap this up. So
fair enough. Yeah.
I need to take priority here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's training day, it's leg day.
Exactly. So if you want to see my leg day, drop me a follow on Instagram, whack up my story later as well.
Come on.
It would have gone by the time you hear this episode. Anyway.
Yeah.
But you'll know for next time. All right.
Exactly.
Next time. And
It's
Tuesdays. Well.
Tuesdays are Marcus's leg day.
It is. Every Tuesday and Friday is leg day. So if you want to get involved, follow this. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast.
The tags. Come on.
Also, you might want to drop Sam a follow.
You might not. I'm a vegan. You might not want to.
So
yeah, he's vegan, so he's a bit of a wrong un.
All right. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.